you know that Islam doesn't actually start with Prophet Muhammad?
No, Islam definitely started 1400 years ago by the Prophet Muhammad in 7th century Arabia.
It starts with Adam and Moses and Abraham and Jesus and finally Prophet Muhammad.
No, this is just an anachronistic assertion made by the Quran. It's not actually rooted in any evidence. Islam does say some interesting things about these men, though, that are clearly made up, but I thought we should take a look. So, in one hadith, the Prophet Muhammad actually says that Adam was made 60 cubits tall, or 90 feet, and then there at the bottom it says people have been decreasing in stature since Adam's creation. I really don't know what compelled him to say this, but obviously human beings were never 90 feet tall. In Surah 2260, there's this story of Abraham, and Allah tells him to take some birds, train them up, and then cut them into pieces, and then scatter them on hilltops, and then call out to them, and they'll actually fly back to him to prove that Allah can bring life to the dead. Now, of course, there's no validity to this story, but if there's one thing I've learned about the Quran, it's that it's not very original, and most of the time, whatever story you read has a connection to something else. This one has a connection to the Jewish Midrash. And there's a motif in the Jewish Midrash of Abraham asking God how he can raise the dead to life. And so here we get this story in the Quran that connects to that. The next one's about Moses, and this one is just quite odd. In Surah 18, there's kind of this made up story about Moses in which he meets this servant of God and asks to follow him around and learn from him. The man does a series of odd things, but the most odd and kind of disturbing one is in 1874, he actually unalives a boy in front of Moses. And at the end of the story, he goes on to explain to Moses why he did these things, including unaliving this boy, as some kind of story of wisdom. Now, once again, this is most likely related to the Jewish Midrash, in which they took some motif or story and then they tie it back into Moses to make up something that never happened. And lastly, we have this story about Jesus in Surah 19, in which the Quran says that he spoke from the cradle as an infant. This is actually taken from a Christian work, the 6th century Arabic infancy gospel, in which Jesus speaks from the cradle as an infant and actually claims to be the Son of God. The author of the Quran clearly stumbled upon that story and then changed it up and inserted it into the Quran.
As Muslims, we believe in all of them because they preach one truth, which is to worship one God.
And once again, this is an anachronistic assertion. Because the Quran would try to have you believe that all these people were just going around claiming God is one, believe in him, worship him alone. But when we actually read the stories in the Bible, we see something much different. That the whole Old Testament and every figure in it is actually looking forward to the coming of Jesus, where he, the Son of God, will come to the people of God and restore his relationship with them. And this is why we should put our hope in Christ, because he's the only one who can reconcile us back to God, because he's conquered sin and death through his death and resurrection.